And to my Republican friends, if we could work together the last Congress, there's no reason we can't work together and find consensus on important things in this Congress as well.
Hello and welcome to Capitol Review. I'm Tasmin Mahfouz, and let's start with President Biden's second State of the Union address that happened on Tuesday night. Joining us now is Emily Brooks. She's a House leadership reporter with our media partners at The Hill. Emily, thank you so much for being here. Welcome to Capitol Review, and talk to us about the reaction to President Biden's speech. There was a lot of back and forth off-script moments.
Yes, well, I think that Democrats thought that, of course, that their president did a pretty good job with the State of the Union. He isn't known for being the most eloquent speaker, but his speech was pretty, from what I saw, well received by Democrats. There was even some polling that showed that it was fairly well received by those in a flash poll who saw it. But on the Republican side, of course, it was very fiery. There was a lot of back and forth between Republicans and the president, especially on the issue of Social Security. President Biden had referenced a plan from Senator Rick Scott, a Republican, to sunset all federal programs, and that would include Social Security. Of course, he did not name him, but he said this was a Republican plan. That got a lot of outrage from Republicans. There was a very unusual back and forth during the speech, sort of hashing out those differences and coming to somewhat of an agreement that they did not want to touch Social Security.
And Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders, who was just sworn into office, former White House press secretary to Donald Trump, delivered that GOP rebuttal. How did she do? What's the response to that?
The response from Republicans is very largely positive. Sarah Huckabee Sanders does have a lot of experience in front of the camera as a former press secretary for former President Trump. So she is familiar with that. There are lots really hard for the Republican sponsor, the Democratic response to a State of the Union. A lot of times you're not perceived in the best light. It's kind of a tough position to be in, being that attack dog. But the response I saw was very positive. And what's interesting is that she called for a new generation of Republican leadership. Not sure what that means about President Trump with that comment, but it is something notable in that.
All right, Emily Brooks from The Hill, thank you so much for being here and for your time.